It's a bewitching October day to be a creative. Hi everyone, I'm Laurie Fagen and welcome to AZ Creates, a web series about the many creative people right here in the Grand Canyon State. On today's show, you'll meet video editor Misty Wilson of Gilbert in our Creative Connections segment. And just in time for Halloween in What Are You Reading, we'll introduce you to Sandy Wright, who's written a paranormal mystery story about witches. We will highlight the nonprofit Arizona Production Association for film, theater, and television professionals. And in Something to Look Forward to, we have plenty of ghostly activities for you to consider. That's all straight ahead right here on AZ Creates. AZ Creates is sponsored by Mary Contreras State Farm Insurance. A longtime supporter of the arts, Contreras offers insurance for autos, homeowners, renters, personal, business, life, and health, plus annuities and mutual funds. Located in Tempe, contact Mary Contreras through her website at marycontreras.com. Welcome back to AZ Creates. On our Creative Connections segment today, we'd like to introduce video editor Misty Wilson to you. Welcome to the show, Misty.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. So glad we could. Now, you are a digital video editor and a motion graphics artist, something I want to ask you about in a few minutes. But editing for film and television, traditionally, back when I was first in it a long time ago, was pretty much a male-dominated field. How did you get into this area? And how is it for women these days?
So I started editing in high school, and I originally was editing sports highlights. I loved sports. I was involved in sports in my high school and discovered my love of editing. I went to school here in Tempe, and the very first editing class that I had, the teacher told me I was going to be successful, honestly, because I'm a female, which is very entertaining. But I think as far as the male-dominated field, I think that we're making progress every day. I know a handful of female editors, and they're all very talented. I also am surrounded by male editors who have always really supported me in my growth. So I don't feel like there's a lot of competition there. It's a wonderful field. I think it's a good community here, especially in Arizona.
Good, good. Great to hear. Now, you've worked on feature films, short films, documentaries, commercials, company brand profiles, and digital marketing pieces. Can you just tell us just a little bit about some of your favorites, perhaps?
Sure. I think that film is really where my heart is. I just love the aspect of storytelling. That doesn't mean that I don't love the other stuff, the corporate, the branded. All of it is wonderful. I think that working in corporate videos actually is really challenging because sometimes you have to be creative within a box, which is a fantastic challenge. And I always find the exercise of being creative within a space that's sticking between the lines of brand and everything is fantastic. I'm never bored in my job, but my heart is definitely in the film side of things.
Very good. Well, now I got to ask you, because wasn't really familiar with this term. What is a motion graphics artist?
Motion graphics artist is actually kind of the 2D animation. So it's where it's kind of like graphic design, but then with motion to it. So it's not the 3D. It's not like cartoons or anything. It's taking information, even if it's text and icons, and making it dynamic for the viewer. So it's much more different than the 3D animation.
Okay. So you say that you're a very strong storyteller. How does that work into the whole editing field?
I think that my strengths in storytelling are actually more strengths in interpretation. I'm often given tons of footage and a script to go on, and it's really my job to interpret that entire piece and then present it to an audience, obviously working in collaboration with a director and whoever else is involved in the post process. But really, I think the storytelling aspect of my job is taking all of the information from the script to everything that the amazing teams do in the field and pulling it all down so that it translates well for an audience, so that they find a connection in the footage, the acting, everything.
Very interesting. Good. Well, and I think, many of us in this industry are storytellers, and you think about writers being the storytellers. So it's really great to hear that, again, because you do have a great influence in what you're doing, how you're even transitioning from one shot to the feel, the emotion, right? A lot of that. Absolutely. So you are also a member of the Arizona Production Association, which is our featured nonprofit for this episode as well. And you're serving on the board. How did you get into APA, and what are you doing as far as the board position goes?
So I actually got involved in the APA mostly to get more involved in our production community. As an editor, I tend to keep myself in my little edit suite and don't really go on to set and meet and network people who I have worked on their footage, I've worked on their sound. I don't actually meet any of those people in person. And so I joined the APA to really dive into the community and hopefully meet these people that I've been, working with over the years in person. And honestly, I love being a part of the APA. I think it's a really valuable resource here in Arizona. And I think that building a community around our film production and post-production and just having that community and communication is really valuable.
Absolutely, I would definitely agree. And as the second president of the APA, back a bunch of years ago when we took three different groups, Arizona Film Theater and Television, Metro Phoenix, 602 Arizona, we merged together. And so I've been involved with APA for many, many years too. And it's so great to see that it's still going and going very strong too. So the pandemic has obviously, affected you and your edit suite. Tell us how you're working right now specifically, and also what are you working on at the moment?
Sure. I am not in the edit suite I'm normally in. I usually work out of Old Town Scottsdale in a studio for Quantum Leap Productions. They're an amazing production company here, also members of the APA. And that is where I call home as far as my studio space. Currently, during the pandemic, I'm working at home. It's been actually really nice working from home just because I get a little bit more freedom. I don't have to commute or anything like that. So that's nice. The challenge has been working with clients because I am a work and editor. So a lot of times the client sits with me while I edit. We've just kind of worked around that using Zoom, and honestly, I think it's strengthening our communication skills because we have to be very clear in what we're talking about. We can't always use hand gestures on describing where we want to go with things. So I think it's strengthened our communication. Interesting.
Good. Well, maybe a little silver lining out of that. But yeah, I was wondering how you can edit through Zoom by having your client not over your shoulder, but we all try to figure out the right way. So you just mentioned, though, that you are working on, you just finished a piece for the Phoenix Art Museum. Tell us about that.
Yes, a piece that I actually finished earlier this year, just released for the Phoenix Art Museum. It's a very emotional piece. It's kind of like a love letter to the Phoenix Art Museum. And they had planned initially to release this in April, but because of the pandemic and they had to close down, they're reopening. They reopened this October, and this has been their piece to kind of celebrate their reopening, which we did not know that the pandemic was coming when we worked on it, but I feel like it's resonating immensely, even post, opening back up. I think it's a really valuable piece for the Phoenix Art Museum right now, trying to get people back in.
Good. And why don't we take a quick look at the piece for the Phoenix Art Museum?
I remember the first time I saw you.
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 You. You came here on a school bus.
On the train.
You walked. You drove from Glendale.
The library.
Down the street.
South Phoenix.
Milwaukee.
Mesa.
Nowhere in particular.
It was 1959.
1975.
Nissan Hachi.
96.
En el año pasado.
67.
The year of the monkey.
Yesterday.
Today.
I can't remember.
But I remember the way your face changed.
The way your eyes lit up. Moved.
How you stopped.
Stood.
Started to go.
Came back.
How you said, whoa, wow.
I don't get it.
I like that.
No me gusta.
Wow.
I love this.
I love this.
I loved this.
Missy, you are also on the board of Six Strings Acoustic, and this is a nonprofit that brings live music to the classrooms of special needs children. What is the story behind this organization for you?
This organization is definitely one that sits close to my heart. I got involved in it because a really good friend of mine and a producer I work with frequently, Janet Nearhood, her husband actually goes into the schools and plays live music for these special needs kids. And we've kind of realized since the pandemic that, you know, once the kids couldn't go to school, they actually started doing these virtual concerts, which have been really fun because I've actually been able to attend them and have them on in the background. And it's so wonderful to see the faces of these children. Music is so important to them. It's a way of, you know, expressing themselves, dancing. So it's been a really fantastic nonprofit to be involved with. And I've actually been able to incorporate some of my video skills for them, building promotional videos. And at some point, we're actually planning on releasing or working on some sort of virtual learning for special needs, since that's kind of lacking, and virtual learning is really necessary right now. So the special needs arena of virtual learning is really lacking. And so the nonprofit's expanding their research right now to include music involved in special needs virtual learning.
Glad you can work on that. Good. Now, you mentioned that you really wanted to get into more film, and you're talking about feature films here.
Yes, I mean, I'm always looking for, I work with a handful of really talented directors and writers, and each of them have their own little projects. Not little, I mean, both of them are, the two that I predominantly work with are working on features right now that obviously I'm not integrated into that yet because they haven't shot them. They're still in script rewriting. But yes, on the horizon, I am very excited to have a couple of feature films in the works and some short films too, actually. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the creative side of filmmaking soon.
Good. That sounds great. Well, we wish you good luck on that. Anything else you'd like to add about the industry and about women in the industry and what your future looks like?
You know, back to the subject of women in the industry, there's another organization that I find very, very wonderful for women and minorities in the film industry. It's called Made in Her Image, and they are fantastic. It's mostly production side of things, but they're an amazing organization to look into. They're constantly supporting younger women so that, you know, the next generation of filmmakers are going to be well represented by females and minorities.
Right. Absolutely. Good. I will check them out. Sounds like a great organization too. Misty, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here today. And you can find out more about Misty Wilson at her website, mistyedits.com. And the link will be in the episode notes below. Again, continued good luck to you and great to talk to you today.
Thanks so much, Laurie. Thanks for having me.
Suspense and paranormal writer Sandy Wright is next. Don't go away. AZ Creates is sponsored by Curious Kirby, a business dedicated to helping artists succeed online. Whether you're struggling with a website, need help writing newsletters, or want to boost your social media presence, Curious Kirby offers coaching, consulting, and advice to artists worldwide, but centered right here in Arizona. Visit CuriousKirby.com or join the Curious Kirby Creatives group on Facebook to learn more.
Since Halloween activities are a little bit in question this year because of the pandemic, you might consider putting on some spooky music and reading our next guest's paranormal mystery story about witches. AZ Creates welcomes Sandy Wright. How are you today, Sandy?
Thank you. I'm just fine.
So your first novel, which you will read from in a little bit, is a paranormal suspense mystery called Song of the Ancients. There we go. And now you're finishing a suspense novel about murder and drug smuggling on the Arizona border. Let's start backwards a little bit, though. What drew you to writing in the first place?
Well, I've loved reading and writing since grade school, and I majored in journalism in college, but I didn't actually start my first novel until I was nearly 50. And it was actually inspired by Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series. He haunted me in book 6 and the Half-Blood Prince, and I felt like he was good and evil, yin and yang. And then J.K. Rowling killed him off in book 7. I thought he'd been a fascinating, complex character, and then poof, he was done in by a snake without even a decent fight. So when I began my own book, I started fiddling around with that personality type, that same type for my male character, Nicholas Orenda. He's a man who is infinitely talented, just like Snape, but he's flawed. And he's a character who will consider bending any moral code to accomplish his goal. You'll meet him when I read the book excerpt, but a lot of people can't decide whether he's a villain or a good guy. And he's not a villain, but can you depend on him unconditionally? No.
And I'm glad to know about that whole Severus Snape thing, which I didn't know when I first read the book. And now it does make a lot more sense. And yes, villain or not, that is an interesting question. So Song of the Ancients does introduce readers to witchcraft and medicine magic, seen through the eyes of an everyday woman. It's also just a great, dark, spooky tale, which I really did enjoy, Sandy. Now, you are also a practicing Wiccan high priestess. How does that all factor into your story and your writing?
Well, they say write what you know, and the Song of the Ancients came from my personal background. I moved from the Midwest to Arizona, and the spiritual paths in this part of the Southwest have always been based on nature-based religions, which Wicca is also. So widening my study to encompass native spirituality just seemed like a natural progression. The magical stuff I drew from my own Wiccan background and practice, because I'm a priestess for a group here in Phoenix. My main character, Samantha Danrow, is about where I was 15 years ago when I started my study. So it was fun to introduce her and the concept of witchcraft through her eyes, an ordinary non-magical woman, and go through her reactions and disbelief along with her. She'll learn more as the series goes on, and readers can learn along with her.
Interesting, very good. And I know you said, but even moving to the Southwest was very inspiring for a lot of your writing too. Yeah. So if you would set up Song of the Ancients, the section you're going to read from, and we'd love it if you'd read a portion of it for us.
Okay. This is a scene between Samantha and Nicholas Orenda, the two main characters, and Nicholas does not yet trust Samantha in their relationship. I watched his long fingers curl around the bottle. The movements were practiced, but his hand trembled slightly. He uncorked the bottle and poured the rich red liquid into 2 glasses, offering one to me. To fate, he toasted with a tight smile. I brought the glass to my lips and let the wine settle in my mouth. It tasted of raspberry, chocolate, and oak, as well as something slightly bitter. Nicholas looked ill. He set his glass down without tasting it. I began to relax and took another sip of wine. The alcohol was hitting me hard tonight. Already my face felt slightly numb. Would you like to study first? Yes, let's. He seemed distracted. You said you have your Materia Magica completed? I nodded. Nicholas had suggested I do the research systematically. I have them alphabetized. Then let's begin with A. I took a sip of wine and pulled out the first card. Acacia. You can use the flowers or burn the wood to stimulate psychic centers or for money spells. Nicholas nodded. It can be used for protection as well. A sprig of the tree over your bed wards off evil. I made a note and continued. Aconite. It's a poison, also known by the common names of monkshood and wolfsbane. The entire plant is poisonous, especially the leaves and roots. If ingested, he asked. Yes, or from contact, I added. Reaction time? This was harder. 15 minutes to as long as a few hours, maybe? Very good. Antidote? Uh-oh. I hadn't cataloged antidotes. I looked at the asterisk I'd put on the card beside the poison symbol. I had meant to go back and make additional notes on the poisons. I don't know. I had some trouble getting the words out. My mouth was numb and my lips felt swollen. I lifted my wine glass and looked at it. It was nearly full. I set it down, sloshing most of its contents onto the table. Then I believe we will both learn something tonight, Nicholas said. He leaned in to peer at me, his nose only inches from mine. I was beyond caring what he did. My face was now completely numb, and a tingling sensation had taken over both of my arms, as if tiny insects were crawling across them. My skin was cold and clammy, and my pulse was irregular and very slow. I wondered for a brief moment if it would stutter to a halt. But my mind was perfectly clear as I watched him. He looked at his watch and put his fingers under my chin and looked into my pupils. How are you feeling? I wanted to answer him, but my mouth wouldn't form the words. It would appear the reaction time for ingested aconite is closer to the 15 minutes you quoted, he murmured. I wanted to scream for help, but all I could do was stare at him with wild eyes. A 1 to 50 drop ratio is sufficient. When taken orally, as you did, it first stimulates and later paralyzes the nerves. The initial tingling gives way to long-term anesthetic action. That's why your tongue and then your face became numb. He shifted slightly in his chair and lifted my arm, pressing his thumb to the pulse point on my wrist. Aconite works on the circulation, the respiration, and the nervous system. The pulse slows, possibly as low as 40 beats per second. Blood pressure falls and breathing becomes slower as the respiratory system is paralyzed. Death is usually due to asphyxiation, but interestingly, as in strychnine poisoning, the victim is conscious and clear-headed to the last. He let go of my wrist. It flopped useless onto the sofa. But you know all of that, don't you? He said. His tone was pure ice. Were you afraid I wouldn't try the wine bottle you left on my doorstep, so you brought a second one just in case? He put his lips to my ear. I want to know why you are trying to poison me. I want to know what Nguyen and his cronies are planning. And I especially want to know your part in this little scheme. He enunciated each word with deliberate slowness, but his matter-of-fact voice told me everything I needed to know. I was going to die.
Oh my goodness, that is a great part. And that is a good example of where you think that he's more the villain. But he does go back and forth a little bit. So great segment there. That is thank you for sharing that too.
Thank you.
Sandy, I know you spent a lot of time in Flagstaff during the summer, and this summer in particular was COVID. How has COVID affected your writing this year?
Once I got past the the paranoid and panicky stage. I got a lot of writing done. Crescent Moon Crossing, my standalone suspense, will be finished in November, and then I'll go straight into the second book in the Ancient Magic series, which is going to be based in Scotland. My husband and I actually had a chance to go to Scotland 2 years ago to do research on the book, and including a visit to a true life excavation, which is called Nessa Brodgar, which will also be in the book. And I began to research my Campbell clan heritage while I was there also. So I can't wait to get into book 2. It's going to be personal and a lot of fun.
That sounds fantastic. Congratulations on making the trip to Scotland already, too. And you call it one of the power sites.
Right.
That each book, and you have a 4-part series for this one. And this book 2 will take place around the standing stones you mentioned in Scotland, like the ones that are featured in Outlander, like one of my all-time favorite shows. That is a great one. Good. Well, and then you can look for Sandy's novel Crescent Moon Crossing, which is coming out next year. And you can follow her at her website at writersandy.com. Thank you again so much for being on the show with us today, Sandy.
Thank you.
Our featured nonprofit and upcoming events are straight ahead. Stay with us. AZ Creates highlights the Arizona Production Association, a nonprofit membership trade organization of film, theater, and television professionals. Their mission is to promote, encourage, and advance the growth of the film, commercial, broadcast, and live event industries within the state of Arizona, and to improve the status and skills of their members. The APA publishes an online production guide with more than 500 verified listings of production professionals, equipment vendors, production and post-production facilities, studios, and other support services. Produces the On the Arizona Set newsletter, holds industry-related events, offers member discounts and opportunities to engage and connect with other industry pros. For membership details, visit azproduction.com/join. Those who love Halloween are getting very creative this year despite the pandemic. So in something to look forward to, Cathy Beard found a lot of ghostly activities for you. Wait a minute. Whoa, what is happening, Cathy? Where are you?
A very good evening to all Masters of the Arts. I am Katrina, Mistress of Events, here to tell you a wicked tale that I've scared up about the spectacular haunts in Arizona. So sit back as I conjure up some tricks and some treats to indulge your Halloween delights. It's a totally wicked haunted house family paint night at Sunshine Sunflower Ceramic Studio in Phoenix. Choose your own colors of your haunted house and bring your favorite adult beverage to sip on. Wednesday, October 28 at 6 p.m. All materials are included. There's also a Zoom class for those who prefer to paint at home, and all materials are provided. Visit sunshinesunflower.com for details and other classes. The Great Arizona Puppet Theater will be performing Halloween-themed shows that are not scary, so parents can bring their children ages 2 to 8 on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays in October. Upcoming shows include Trouble at Haunted Mountain on October 31st at 10 a.m. And during the pandemic, the Puppet Theater is offering drive-in parking lot entertainment with ticket prices charged by the carload. Reservations are required in advance. Get the performance dates at azpuppets.org. It's a nightmare before Christmas at Tucson's Tipsy Picasso's Art School when you join them on Saturday, October 24th at 6 p.m. Paint with this ghoulish group in a virtual step-by-step guided painting class on Facebook Live. Supply kits and a pre-sketched canvas are available for purchase for $15 to $30, and the Facebook Live class is free. Visit the Tipsy Picasso's Facebook event page for more information. Watch bone-chilling tales of the dead during Ghost Talk, The Experience by Prescott Center for the Arts. The 13th annual event will provide patrons a virtual night of terror starting October 30th from the comfort of your own home. This annual fundraiser for local youth art programming and scholarships at PCA brings frightening stories from around Yavapai County and beyond. The accounts vary from the fictional writing of a budding creative playwright to our own Laurie Fagen's haunting tale of a tragic death at the Elks Opera House prior to the opening night play in 1905. You decide what is based on the truth and what is a creepy trick. Tickets are $6, and the emailed viewing link is good through November 15. For all the ghostly details, visit pca-az.net. Be part of a Halloween Chalk Art Walk, sponsored by Southern Arizona Arts and Cultural Alliance and Long Realty, from 2 to 5 p.m., Saturday, October 31st in Tucson. The Chalk for Hope, Heroes, and Halloween is a socially distanced art walk where visitors can view murals created by local artists with designs of firefighters, healthcare workers, and public safety officers. Kids are encouraged to come dressed in first responder, healthcare, and fun Halloween costumes. Attendees who arrive in costume will receive prepackaged trick-or-treat bags of candy, while they can also meet local firefighters, police officers, and other first responders. Participate in the face mask competition and make your own mural on site, thanking Oro Valley's public safety community. For more details, visit saaca.org/Chalk for Hope Heroes and Halloween. There's a Halloween photo shoot and zombie fashion show for boys and girls, ages 2 to 16, from 1 to 4 p.m. Saturday, October 31st in Scottsdale. Produced by More Than Modeling. The event includes a mini photo session, gift bags, and more for $40. The event will be held outdoors for safety, and one customer will be scheduled at a time. Book the event online at morethanmodeling.com. There's nothing to fear at the Sunny Slope Open Studio Tour, a community event inviting you to experience working artist studios and see their art Saturday, October 24th from 10 to 5 and Sunday, October 25th from noon to 5. Sculptors, painters, ceramicists, potters, pastel artists, printmakers, and mixed media artists include founder Sandra Caldwell Ortega, Eileen Freck, Chris Kalash, Sandra Lurson, and many more. Masks are required, and safe social distancing will be observed with limited occupancy. Hosted by Fine Art and Creative Environments LLC. You can find them on Facebook or on the web at artandenvironments.com. Coming up, we have a wicked number of haunted houses and other Halloween events for you, such as Scarizona Scaregrounds, which includes 3 different haunted houses with zombies to walk through, with scheduled time slots and groups of no more than 8, and a family-friendly drive-through haunted experience and live show. There's also paintball, psychic readings, and more. That's in Mesa, now through November 1st. Check the website at scarizona.com for specific days, ticket prices, and location. And if your 2020 hasn't been scary enough, there are more haunted houses, drive-thrus, and activities that will make your Halloween its spookiest ever. Be sure to contact these events in advance regarding dates, times, and fees, or you'll miss out. Wear your masks as you creep into these haunts and practice the spells to ensure your safe passage. Do you dare to let us know of an event that you're brewing up? Then conjure up a message to azcreates.artonlineaz@gmail.com. And to all you witches and warlocks, ghosts and goblins, make it a safe and wickedly creative Halloween. That's something to look forward to.
Thanks, Cathy. I mean Katrina. And happy Halloween to you, too. On the next AZ Creates, we'll talk to graphite artist Jack Schilder. And as we begin what can often be a very stressful holiday season, we'll get some information from Sandy Roberts, who has written a guide on how to prevent suicide. We close AZ Creates today with a seasonal quote, as we also thank you for joining us on this latest episode. Robert Brault at Positively Present says, "There is a child in every one of us who is still a trick-or-treater looking for a brightly lit front porch." We hope you still have that artistic child in you as well. And if you liked our show, we hope you will leave some notes for us in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel by clicking on the red subscribe box. And if you want to be notified of the next show, tap the little bell, and we'll be adding other content to this channel as well. There's a share tab where you can share this with friends and family and artists and art lovers and anyone literally around the world, thanks to YouTube. You can also like our Facebook and Instagram pages at Art Online AZ, so check those out too. So whether you have your front porch on for Halloween this year, or whether you're passing just to be cautious, we hope you will stay safe and healthy and make it a creative day. See you next time.